breaking updates.
People are assuming that Rachel and Gal did not get along because obviously Rachel has promoted Free Palestine. Gal obviously is Israeli and is Jewish.
They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
And now, with another what seems like PR stunt to desperately try to convince people that these two are in it together, it seems to have backfired. At the Oscars, both Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot walked out there to present an award, and it didn't go over very well.
Co-stars? Sure. Friends? Not even close. E.T. has learned there has definitely been tension between Snow White leading ladies Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, and they're, quote, not close by any means.
And one of the problems that Disney's having is that in virtually every single trailer, every piece of promotional material that comes out, people are saying, you know what, I'm rooting for the evil queen. I'm rooting for Gal Gadot as the evil queen because I just hate Rachel Zegler that much. Basically, not once did they really ever seem friendly or really acknowledge each other in this entire thing.
Rachel Zegler is not doing anything to silence all of those reports, rumors, and online chatter that she and Gal Gadot are beefy. Yes, beefy.
Rumors are swirling across social media, tabloids, and fan forums about an explosive falling out between Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, the leading ladies of Disney's highly anticipated live-action Snow White. Whispers suggest Gal reached a breaking point behind the scenes, utterly fed up with her co-star's controversial remarks, political stances, and general attitude.
I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
There were definitely some clues at the scaled-back no reporters allowed premiere. They posed separately, and Disney released just this one smiling pic that did its best to convey a message of no controversy here.
Rumors of bad blood over Rachel Zegler's anti-Israel comments. Quote, if I were Gal Gadot, I would have pushed her off stage.
Seems like Rachel Zegler's heart is shady. Or perhaps she doesn't give an F. A lot of folks that helped bring Snow White to the big screen. Noticeably absent and not included in this carousel of 13 pictures? You guessed it, her co-star, Gal Gadot.
The Mirror is going to immediately say that the queen is the fairest of them all. I'm rooting for the queen to win.
This is truly, like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go.
This did not go very well. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot didn't even look at each other while presenting at Oscars amid feud. And this is them walking out, and Rachel Zegler walks out looking like a giraffe that just learned how to walk with her arms flailing around. I don't know exactly what this was.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
As the premiere date approached, online discussions escalated, fueling speculation that these two stars were anything but friends. Fans on Twitter shared their shock at how the promotional interviews felt awkward, with both women seeming tense whenever they stood side by side, or, more often, far apart. Before the film even hit theaters, people began taking sides, forming a narrative that Gal was the calm, collected professional.
So yeah, I think there is a lot of bad blood, specifically between her and her. I think Gal Gadot is probably much more of a professional than Rachel Zegler is, but none of this is helping this disaster. You just have more and more people who feel no need to go and watch this movie. And all of their PR stunts fall apart in front of your eyes.
I know some people like this movie. Some people are stupid.
While Rachel's outspokenness had rubbed everyone the wrong way, across countless fan threads, the phrase, "I'm rooting for the evil queen," started popping up, a tongue-in-cheek jab at Rachel's portrayal of Snow White. Yet behind this swirl of gossip lies a deeper story of creative clashes, studio panic, and a brand new Disney remake that some claim was doomed from the start.
We've watched over the last several months as Disney has desperately tried to do damage control for Rachel Zegler's Snow White disaster after she shot her mouth off like 2 years ago at the red carpet at D23, whatever event that it was, where she started talking so much shit about the original.
Snow White is destined to be one of the biggest bums in Disney history.
Central to this supposed feud is a stark difference in political and cultural backgrounds. Rachel publicly voiced her support for Palestine, a stance that inevitably drew attention to Gal Gadot's Israeli heritage and her past service in the Israel Defense Forces. While many celebrities expressed political opinions, the friction here was magnified by the fact that they were co-starring in a single film.
And so I've got some bona fides here on being fair. The movie was absolutely terrible.
A video of herself in a theater. Maybe I think she bought that ticket right there.
Expected to present a united front during press tours, fans noticed that interviews became uncomfortable whenever the conversation veered into personal beliefs or global issues.
Look at this. Look at this face. What can be said about this level of narcissism here?
The tension was further fueled by online speculation that the two never seemed to share a warm rapport. On top of that, Rachel's social media presence, often laced with bold, uncompromising viewpoints, stirred the pot. In some corners of the internet, people even accused her of overshadowing the entire movie with her personal crusade. Meanwhile, Gal, known for her measured and diplomatic approach, reportedly struggled to balance promoting the film with defending her own cultural stance without inflaming tensions. What really lit a fire under devoted Disney fans was Rachel's apparent lack of reverence for the original 1937 Snow White. She criticized the prince as a borderline stalker figure and insisted the cartoon was simply too outdated for a modern audience. Although reimagining old fairy tales can be refreshing, many found her comments dismissive, even insulting. After all, this is the very first Disney princess film, an animation masterpiece that laid the groundwork for the entire Walt Disney empire. As soon as word spread that Rachel saw the classic storyline as passé, the fan backlash escalated. Traditionalists called her statements egotistical, insisting she was ignoring the cultural and historical significance of the original. Even viewers who might have been open to a revamped Snow White bristled at the idea that the old version was worthless or silly. All the while, Gal Gadot took a more subdued stance, praising the legacy of Disney films in her interviews. She emphasized wanting to bring a fresh perspective to the evil queen without cheapening the essence of the iconic fairy tale. As Disney ramped up its marketing machine, cracks in the film's promotional strategy began to show. Industry insiders whispered that the two co-stars rarely engaged in any genuine camaraderie, leading to forced smiles and stiff interactions at public events. A glaring example was their joint appearance at the Oscars, where some watchers claimed the tension was palpable. Rachel's enthusiastic wave and posture looked out of sync with Gal's more reserved demeanor. It seemed like a PR meltdown waiting to happen. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Disney was reportedly scrambling to contain the damage. Executives have a keen radar for potential controversies, and they realized early on that negative press was overshadowing any excitement for the film. They tried releasing carefully posed photos showing Gal and Rachel together, smiling as if to convey unity, but fans weren't buying it. Online discussions quickly turned sarcastic, with people dubbing the snapshots damage control. And once the internet decides there's bad blood, no single photo op or cheerful press release can fully reverse that narrative. While tensions simmered, Rachel continued making headlines with comments that seemed to push away Disney purists. She referred to certain comedic or sentimental aspects of the original film as outdated and irrelevant to modern sensibilities. Her desire to reinvent Snow White sounded, to some, like a total dismissal of the story's foundational charm. Adding to this, she allegedly voiced opinions about how she should be compensated for streaming success, fueling accusations of arrogance in an industry where major stars typically handle negotiations more privately. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, largely stuck to the script, praising the new adaptation, complimenting the cast and crew, and steering clear of direct confrontation. Still, rumors suggest she finally lost her composure behind closed doors, frustrated by the overshadowing drama. Word around Hollywood was that Gal felt cornered, forced to address Rachel's controversies at nearly every turn. And because she was playing the villain, someone who ironically garnered fan sympathy, her own performance risked getting buried by the chaos. The tension only grew fiercer when Rachel tweeted political positions soon after Disney tried to pivot attention onto the film's release. Whether she intended to or not, each new post overshadowed the actual content of Snow White. Social media users criticized her for focusing on hot-button issues, while her co-star faced fallout and even direct threats, allegedly because of the film's political undertones linked to Gal's nationality. Studio insiders suggest that executives pleaded with Rachel to tone down the polarizing commentary until the movie's release cycle concluded. But Rachel, known for her unfiltered approach, either wouldn't or couldn't rein it in. Even attempts to show unity, such as combined appearances, did little to convince audiences the tension was resolved. Some fans demanded an official statement from Disney, but the company maintained its trademark corporate caution. Ironically, the more silence from the studio, the louder the rumors became. When Snow White finally hit theaters, the results were startling. Instead of the massive opening typically associated with a classic Disney reboot, the numbers came in well below projections. Critics panned the film as lacking the timeless charm and spectacle of previous remakes, while fans hammered it online for failing to capture the essence of the original. Memes circulated of empty theater seats, mocking the film's underperformance. Inevitably, fingers pointed at Rachel. Many cited her divisive statements as the reason they refused to support the movie. Others, less invested in the drama, argued that the production's modern twists simply weren't appealing. Yet in the court of public opinion, the link between Rachel's behavior and the film's poor reception was heavily cemented. Meanwhile, Gal was largely spared direct blame, emerging with her reputation intact, even if the film's flop reflected poorly on everyone involved. Hollywood loves a scandal almost as much as it loves a comeback story, but in this case, the fiasco surrounding Snow White was so potent that it became a cautionary tale. Casting directors and producers started to question whether Rachel's strong opinions and social media tendencies might be liabilities in future projects. Agents whispered that her star power, once buoyed by hype and a high-profile role, now looked considerably diminished. Gal Gadot, already established as Wonder Woman and known for her diplomatic charm, seemed poised to weather the storm without permanent damage. Reportedly, she took issue with the behind-the-scenes drama, but she never let it dominate her public persona. For many in the industry, that signaled a professional approach that studios appreciate. In contrast, Rachel's raw honesty alienated the fan base Disney relies upon: families, classic animation lovers, and nostalgic adults. Reflecting on this saga, it's clear that modern celebrities have to tread carefully when blending their professional roles with personal activism. In an age dominated by social media, an off-the-cuff remark or tweet can overshadow an entire production, especially when it challenges a well-loved piece of cinematic history. Rachel found this out the hard way. Trashing a classic while embroiled in political controversies left her persona splashed across every entertainment headline for all the wrong reasons. For Disney, the failure of Snow White is more than just a financial loss. It's a wake-up call. The studio's famed image as the pinnacle of family-friendly magic can't survive unscathed if the leading star alienates audiences months before the movie even hits theaters. Moving forward, fans and insiders alike wonder how Disney will handle politically outspoken actors in future projects. Will they implement stricter guidelines, or perhaps pivot to lesser-known talents with less potential for controversy? Now, in the aftermath, observers are left debating if Rachel can rebuild her reputation or if she'll join the list of cautionary tales, actors who flew too close to the sun and crashed under the weight of negative press. Some believe she could stage a comeback through a different type of role or a public apology tour. Others insist this scandal has permanently damaged her prospects, both with studios and fans who felt disrespected by her comments. As for Gal Gadot, her brand remains relatively intact. Even if Snow White itself struggled to leave an impression, beyond controversy, public sympathy seems to rest firmly in her corner, with many praising her professionalism in the face of unrelenting drama. Ultimately, the tension between these co-stars, real or exaggerated, serves as a reminder that even the most iconic fairy tales can be tarnished by off-screen antics. The film's legacy, rather than happily ever after, is now shrouded in cautionary gloom. Whether or not time will soften the backlash remains to be seen. One thing's for sure. In Hollywood, reputations can rise and fall as dramatically as any fairy tale twist, and the audience's verdict is the only one that truly stands the test of time.